tablecloths, napkins, fabric bundles for quilters and sewing projects, all designed by a woman who was once too scared to even open Adobe Illustrator. That's my dear friend, Kathleen, who has made so much progress since then. In this episode, I'm going to share the 3 reasons she went from frozen to selling. Because if you've ever dreamed of seeing your designs on fabric, I believe you're closer than you realize, and these 3 reasons will help you achieve your goal. Welcome to the Creative Business Spark podcast. I'm Anne LaFollette. After getting laid off in my late 50s, I found myself adrift with no income and no sense of self. But my mom always said, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. So I decided to reinvent myself and build an online creative business from scratch. Now I help women like you do the same. Let's dive in because it's never too late to create. Welcome to this week's episode of the Creative Business Spark podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I want to talk a little bit about Kathleen because she now has the most gorgeous designs on fabric that she offers for quilting projects, as tablecloths, as napkins. But initially, she was really intimidated by Adobe Illustrator. And the reason I want to come back to her is because I think her story holds the 3 reasons that might be holding you back. Kathleen actually loves gadgets. She loves her iPhone, her Apple Watch, all the tools that make daily life easier. So it wasn't that she was afraid of technology in general. But Adobe Illustrator, that felt like a wall. When she found me, she was scared and intimidated. And listen, I was scared and intimidated when I first learned Illustrator as well. And that's the kind of scare that kind of whispers, maybe you're not the sort of person who learns things like this. Maybe you know that voice in the back of your head as well. But reason number 1 is you don't need to be tech savvy. Here's the belief that stops so many of the women that I know. The belief that you're just not a tech person. And I hear it all the time. I can barely attach a photo to an email. Or my grandkids have to fix my phone. Or I'm too old to learn something that's that complicated. I was the same way. I was the person back in the day who would hand my iPhone to my husband and say, something's not working. Can you figure it out for me? Please. And so I understand that fear more than you think I might. Because I came to Adobe Illustrator at the age of 60, well past the age when most people think that you're going to be able to learn something brand new. And I still remember staring at that first blank screen, thinking that I was going to make all the mistakes under the sun, and it was really intimidating. But here's what I learned, and what I now teach. Illustrator is a giant program. It was built for graphic designers who are doing dozens of jobs that you and I are never going to need to do. You're not here to do those jobs. You're here to make repeating patterns, maybe some spot graphics, and that takes a small, very specific corner of the program, not the whole thing. So Kathleen didn't need to learn every single tool. She stayed exactly who she was as a creative, and she just learned the handful of tools that matter. She learned them in the right order, at a pace that let each one settle before she needed to master the next. So that overwhelm that you feel, it's not proof that you can't do this. It's proof you're looking at the whole program instead of just the small slice you actually need. Reason number 2 is don't do this alone. This is the reason I care about the most because it's the one that changes everything. Many women try to learn Illustrator all alone. A free tutorial here, a YouTube video there. Of course, they bought and never finished because when they got stuck, there was no one to help them. And then they fell behind and they decided that the problem was them. And let me say this clearly, it's not you. It's actually never you. You were just never meant to do it alone. And this is where my approach really is different and really helps. I keep my programs small on purpose. It's very intentional because I've watched what happens to women like us when we're dropped into a group of thousands of people. You get lost. You go quiet. You figure that no one is even going to notice if you slip away, and usually no one does. That is not what happens in a small group. In a small group, you feel the energy of the other women who are sitting exactly where you're sitting. You feel that we're in this together spirit, and you get seen. You get stuck on a step, and someone was right there to support you. You finish your first repeating pattern, and we all cheer you on. That's what Kathleen wanted. She didn't want to muscle through the hard parts alone. She knew it would be more fun and honestly more doable in community with other women. The support isn't a nice extra. It was the whole reason that you and she can keep going when that quiet voice tells us to quit. So hear me on this. You don't need more willpower. You need the right people around you. Reason number 3, you only need about 5%. This last one is really important, and it sets so many of us free. You might believe that you have to learn all of Illustrator before you can make anything worth selling. Every tool, every panel, every shortcut. And because you want to do it right, you wait. You keep preparing. You keep telling yourself you're almost ready. Here's the truth that should change all of that. You only need to learn about 5% of what Adobe Illustrator is capable of to create beautiful, sellable, repeating patterns. 5%. The rest is just noise. You can learn it eventually if you'd like, but you don't have to, and I don't want it to hold you back. Because I've watched women spend months chasing features that they will never use, while their very first repeating pattern sits there unfinished. But I've also watched women like Kathleen learn the small slice that matters and start creating that very same week. The goal is not to master the whole program. The goal is to create your first repeating pattern. And that is so much closer than you think. Let me pull these 3 reasons together for you. You don't have to be tech savvy because you only need to master a small slice of what Adobe Illustrator is capable of. You don't have to do it alone because there's space for you in a small group that sees you, hears you, and is watching out for you. And you don't have to master everything because 5% is enough to begin. Remember Kathleen. She came to me and was feeling overwhelmed by the tech. She learned what she needed to learn with the right people around her, and now her dream is a reality. Her dream of putting her designs on fabric is alive and well on tablecloths, napkins, and fabric bundles for both quilts and sewing projects. She's not more talented than you are. She's not more tech savvy than you are. She just stopped waiting and decided to take the first step. So picture that in your own mind. You stop waiting until you feel tech savvy or prepared enough or ready enough. You sit down, you learn the slice that you need to learn that really matters, and you watch your very first pattern come to life. Not someday. How about this season? You're not too old, you're not too late. you're not to anything. And if you'd like me to hold your hand while you create your very first repeating pattern in Adobe Illustrator, I'd love for you to join the waitlist for the fall cohort of my Doodles Coaching Week. You can go to members.artwithann.com/doodles to sign up. I'll put the link right below this video, but if you're not watching on YouTube, you can just go to members.artwithann.com/doodles to grab your spot. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're here on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button because it does help get my videos in front of more people. And if you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a review or maybe forward it on to a friend who needs to hear this message today. I always like to say in closing that I am Ann LaFollette. And remember, it's never too late to create. That's it for today, and I'll see you again next week.